Hi there, I'm Linden Thorp. I think many of you know me, and I'm here every week with Your Body is Your Business Plan, the Masterclass. And actually, Your Body is Your Business Plan is the name of a book I wrote last year, which is all about using your body, becoming embodied when you're in business. So you might like to check that out. And tonight, or today, it's tonight for me. I'm in Japan, but my lovely guests are waiting. Two of them are in the UK, so they are lunchtime, and another is in Laos, so he's a few hours behind me. So it's going to be a great show. Today, the topic is aligning purpose with profit. So we're really getting down to the nitty gritty, the bottom line, which I'm not very good at yet. I had to learn very quickly about this when I started my own business. But I'm learning fast. So, and I know our guests are really queued up about all this thing, this type of thing. So, first of all, in the usual way, allow me to share my screen. And I will play a voiceless slideshow. This is just to get you into the mood, the reflective mood, and, give you a moment to be quiet and just think about the topic before we start to talk about it. So let me share my screen without more ado, and we'll just watch this slideshow. Okay, there we are. So that gives you some idea, I think, about the approach to this topic. We have to be practical about money. We can talk about ideas and ideals, but really it's the bottom line. And I'm looking forward to our guests contributing to this. Let me bring them on stage now. Here's Ebby Sheila, you know well. Margaret Barry is here, and Steve Sharpley made it. Oh, I'm so glad, Steve. Great to see you. Steve wasn't sure he could come, but I'm so glad you did. Welcome, everybody. Thanks so much for sparing this time. I'll try not to keep you too long. So let's get started. What did you think of the video, Ebby? What did you get from it?
I'm not sure if it was just me. I couldn't see a video. I tried YouTube and I also tried LinkedIn. And it was just your beautiful smiley face I could see.
Oh, oh really?
I don't know if everybody had the same problem.
At least I wasn't eating a banana, which I think I was one time before. I was having my supper at about
You look beautiful. I was okay. That's okay. I could hear the music.
Oh dear. Oh well. Then we've got no more to talk about. Let's just get down to it, okay? all the plans of mice and men and all of that stuff. Anyway, there we are. So let's get down to it. Sorry about that. I'm a bit embarrassed, but who cares? We've got one guest. We've got a LinkedIn user who's anonymous and says, Linden Thorp, lovely to see you. Hope you're well. So I'm not sure who that is at all. I wonder. Okay, let's get started. So aligning profit and purpose, or purpose and profit. We are all coaches, entrepreneurs. We are making our living, or trying to, from the internet primarily, I think, although there are face-to-face sessions. But we are, yes, this new wave of internet entrepreneur. And yeah, we have to sort out the prices of things. Now, I've had a real struggle with this, so maybe I'll just go first, because I didn't show my video. I've had a real struggle with money because, like many people, I was brought up with a scarcity mindset about money. We were not rich at all, and my mother and father were so happy having a fabulous time together and loved each other so much that they didn't care that we didn't have any money. But there we are. So yeah, I always thought, oh yeah, no, I don't think there is enough money for me in the world. And of course, then I became a teacher and got a pittance, mostly for 5 times the work I actually did. I really have had a struggle to try and pin down my approach to money. I think I'm getting there now, and I'm starting to really think about the value I'm giving. And the value I'm giving is enormous. I'm putting all my energy into this. And I think most of us are. So I think we've got to be very, very realistic about the prices we are asking people to pay us. And yes, I can say from my heart that now my profit is aligning with my purpose, because I've taken a long time to build my business steadily. I'm only just starting to scale it. And yeah, I feel there's really alliance there now with what I'm charging and what is happening inside. So I think I've aligned it. It's taken me 2 years to get to grips with that, really. So that's my little story. Anybody else have a story about their attitude to money? Because I think this is so key, isn't it, for all of us? Ebby, what about you? Do you want to lead the way?
Yeah, I think the key thing for you is alignment with money, because like most of you probably had, money doesn't grow on trees. I'm not made out of money. And I guess that creates limiting belief towards money, which I've had to work on. Unlike you, beginning to find that balance, because on the other extreme is that you meet a lot of coaches who tell you, or a lot of people trying to train coaches who tell you that if you don't charge this amount, it means you don't have value. So you've got that conflict between value for self and what you think is fair. So having to overcome all that, and I'm beginning to I'm getting to the point of being aligned, and it's not about what other people are telling me. So which is kind of difficult. So I guess I'm still finding my feet in terms of that. But I think the alignment comes from, not like we've always said, although money is so important in this realm that we live in, because to be able to get what you want. But I think that once one gets aligned, and I'm beginning to see it in little snippets now, once one gets aligned, then it will start to happen. And maybe you will, like, sometimes you might decide that you're going to give that as a freebie because of the situation. And at the same time, you might get people who are willing to pay what you're actually, I mean, can you put your worth in monetary terms? I don't think you can put your worth in monetary terms, but maybe you can get people that are willing to pay. And I just think, like everything else, if we just let things flow. For me, I was chasing. I found that I was chasing, and so that was part of my money mindset. I was kept chasing it, and so it wasn't coming, because it's like you're always running after it, but you're never getting it because you're always running after it. And until I took a step back, and I've now taken the step back to kind of think, just let things flow, and I'll get the answers. But I guess when you're under the pressure of paying a mortgage, I mean, I'm lucky, I'm retired. I mean, the money is not much, but at least I'm retired and I'm not really desperate. So it's not so bad for me. But if you've got that pressure of having to pay your bills, then it makes it more desperate.
Absolutely. Yes, me too. I'm retired, so I don't have that pressure. I'm just working on my pension, really. So, you know, we're in a good position in a way. Margaret, what about you? What do you think about all this?
Well, I'm sitting quietly grinning here and thinking about, you know, the myths of the stories that we learned when we were growing up, developmental, as Ebby was saying about money growing on trees. And that was a favorite expression in my growing up years, you know. And also because we were a very big family. I came from a family of 8, so you can imagine, you know, there was always this anxiety around how much might, you know, all of these unknowns. I think that was for me the most important thing that I experienced in developmental years, was the uncertainty of, you know, whether there would be or wouldn't be resources for whatever was necessary. And also my father was sort of so keen on education that had to happen before anything else. You know, you might starve, but you've got to be educated.
Yes.
And that raises the point of how individually we tend to focus on particular things that matter to us. And so we rear our children almost in that same, vein.
Yes, yes. I think this is the key. And certainly in my case, my parents, I was born just after the war, Second World War, and my parents were both war veterans, really, because my father was a war hero, a naval guy, and my mother was an ARP warden. So she rushed around in her tin hat rescuing people from the shelters. So they were really so involved in the war effort and survived it. And then we were born, and there was nothing. There was no money. I remember ration books very, very clearly as a very young child. So there was no money. And so then we got into hire purchase, as we called it then. So, they would pay so much a week for whatever, so we could have this thing as quickly as possible. So they were really struggling years. And so in a way, it's no wonder I had a scarcity problem with money. Steve, what about you? I know you come from the north of England, and you may have a very similar background to me, I think. Well, you have. Well, so what about your attitude to money?
Well, I think there's three parts to this money consideration. And I think different people, it seems that different people have different entry points to it. So one is the spending side. And I was brought up working class, so started out with a salary, not much of a salary, but then, as I said before, went and moved to the States. So then jumped to a lot higher salaries, which was very easy to spend in the US, although it did save money as well. And going back to the UK, again, I was able to get really good salaries because of my experience and what I brought to the work. So the spending, the earning from other people and the spending and saving on that side was really good. But money is an energy. Money it needs to keep flowing. So there's the incoming and there's the outgoing. So we have to be able to really understand both and feel comfortable with both. And my imagination is that most people have one side or the other they're more comfortable with, and at some point they're going to have to learn both. And there's a big difference and big shift from earning money from other people and other companies, especially if it pays well, and then all the commitments that come from that, versus earning it from our own efforts, and then get to the point, well, what do I feel comfortable charging people for? So there's lots of different lessons to be learned. But fundamentally, again, it comes down to, what kind of thinking do we have? What kind of stories and beliefs have we picked up through life's experiences and our backgrounds?
Absolutely. And Steve, would you say that right now that your profit aligns with your purpose? Have you reached that stage?
No, absolutely not. But it's not also because I'm at that early stage of building. I'm at an earlier stage of building my business, if you like, online, like you are, Linden. And I had something I can fall back on to a degree. So it's not a bad situation, but it's how much can I afford? How much can I feel comfortable paying for what I deliver, although I know, especially with business people, the value that they've received and can receive from it. So this, for me, I think, I don't know, maybe there are some people in the world that are so rich and come from a privileged background or one way or the other that they don't have any concerns and it's all sorted. But I'd say for the majority of people, it's a part of life a part of life to be able to grow through.
Yes, absolutely. I think so. And I think so many people just get lost because, the more they chase after money, as Ebby said, the more they chase after it, and I did it a little bit to begin with, then the more distance there is between the money and their purpose and their inner beliefs, their inner being, you know. And so when you say money is energy, yeah, absolutely. And we get so bamboozled into thinking it's something more than that because of all the, you know, banknotes and precious stones and all property and all of this stuff that we seem to value in developed life. And so, yeah, if we can get beyond that, we can then get a feeling that it's a flow, as you say. I think once you have your purpose in place, then you attract the right people who are going to pay what you think you're worth and what value you're giving. But I think most people are still stuck at the stage of chasing after it, getting exhausted, burning out, and then, you know, they spend even more money recovering, and so on and so forth. So it's the attitude to money that I think is so strange. And it, as you know, I talk about the limited mind, which to me is this one between our ears. And I think the limited mind really gets everything mixed up in terms of money. You know, we spend so long estimating, calculating, all of these wonderful skills, which we need, of course, but you can get carried away with that. And you end up in a mess. Ebby, you're dying to say something. Go ahead.
Yeah, I mean, like you said, the limited mind is a tool that's there to like protect us, and I guess that's it. So we do need money to survive, and so it's there. But I think sometimes when we have that disconnect, we're not able to get that balance, and we are letting the limited mind take control of the other mind. That's the more powerful mind, just because we're not truly embodied with who we really are. And I guess it's like coming back to that awareness and doing the exercises just to be able to get there, so that it can align. Because we're told, and with the best of intentions, we're told that, or you have to maybe charge a certain amount of fees, or you have to have a certain job. But I think because we're so unique, we need to find out what's right for us.
Yeah.
And not just follow. And I think we're so used to following, because I guess our parents have done it, our grandparents have done it, and with difficult situations, you know, like war situations. I mean, I've grown up, not Second World War, but I've been in a civil war, and so I understand. So my parents were into the mindset, you know, of scarcity, because having to rebuild, because you lose when a war starts, you lose everything. And you have to start from ground zero again. So even though before my parents were doing really well, they had to start from ground zero again. So that kind of affected us as children. And I guess, and then I had 7 children of my own, and I got divorced. So therefore I was set in there. So I see that with my children. They've got the limited belief in terms of money. And I mean, I can talk to them blue in the face. They don't really get it. So I guess it's something we all have to experience ourselves. But yeah, so that limiting belief of the scarcity, and like Steve said, it needs to flow, because it's an energy, and if you're holding on to it. I've got this friend, and I mean, she's like almost a millionaire, but she holds on, even spending £6. Like, oh no, I've got to spend £6. She gets really panicky about spending money. But it has to flow. You know, it just has to flow. And I think just understanding that and getting that and having that alignment between profit and what's the topic again? Profit and
Purpose.
Purpose. Yes. So when we find out what our purpose is, I think that's the thing. We need to find out what our purpose is, because a lot of us are misguided. We don't even know what our purpose is. So what's your purpose? We're doing a job because we have to pay for this and we have to pay for that, but what's actually your purpose? And then having that alignment, that balance of letting things flow, and then it starts to happen. It doesn't look like it's going to happen, I guess, that fear. So the limited mind keeps you in that fear, you know, oh, maybe it's not going to happen, or maybe I'm going to starve, or maybe I'm not going to be paid. And
yes, that's right. I think even the strongest person has moments when they're building a business when they think, oh my God, is this the right thing? You know, are people really going to get into this? Is it really going to work? And there are, of course, moments of doubt. But if you pull yourself down into your inner core, I can always breathe and get back to really utterly being knowledgeable. Knowing would be better. Knowing about my purpose. And then, you know, all that fear drains away. And it's a kind of trick in a way. Although I do feel that if you fear becoming a pauper and sleeping in the park and being a bag lady and all of that stuff, then it kind of pushes you into a different place where if you've got the right guidance around you, you might be able to rise way above all that. And I've had a few of those occasions too during the last 2 years. Somebody has said something and it's made me really fly up into even deeper knowledge and confidence in what I'm doing. Margaret, how about you? I think you've got some very interesting stories.
I was thinking about the fluctuations, you know, throughout life, is that nothing is constant, you know, it's not a straight line that just, for most of us, and there are these ebbs and flows. And I wanted to mention that I talk about the disease of what-if-itis. You know,
yeah, what-if-itis. I like it.
that we can get into that state of what,
yeah,
and it alters the biochemistry. We start getting anxious, and then, you know, it actually, I believe, stops the flow of creativity when we're anxious. I often use the demonstration to people: make a fist. What happens? What happens to the knuckles if you really make a tight fist? Right, it goes white on the actual where the bones are. What is happening? Why has it gone white? No blood flow. And so, you know, tension will always stop flow.
Yeah.
So if we can understand what makes us tense, because it's always going to be individual, and be able to pay attention to relaxing and getting the what-if-itis out of the way.
Absolutely, getting the what-if-itis out of the way. Yeah, absolutely. I mean, the body really is a wonderful barometer of how we view the world. And I think we always have to remember that everything begins with self and ends with self. You know, we, of course, are pulled out into the wider world and so on, but we start alone and we end alone too, moving to the next life or whatever we believe that to be. So I think using the body is a brilliant way of gauging what's happening to your mind, to your ways of thinking. And yes, I do quite a number of little tricky things to show people that the body will tell the truth. The body always tells the truth. It does not lie. We don't listen to it. That's the problem. And, you know, if we don't get the right signals, then we can't stop the what-if-itis going rampant, you know. And so, you know, if we cue into our bodies, then we'll find that solid ground and that truth, and we'll be able to reorientate ourselves always, every time. Yes, absolutely. Steve, what about you?
Well, something that comes to mind is that building on that around, there's another part to the profit and our purpose or passion. And you can see this in people that, the one side that chase money, and you see a lot of people, they get masses of money, but they're so have ignored and let their bodies go. You know, they're overweight, they're unhealthy, you've got all the money they could ever want and more, but their health and everything else is let go. On the other side, you've got like people in the healthcare services that work their tushes off, you know, and not great conditions, shifts, they're worn out, so they sacrifice their bodies for their passion for helping others. So that again, it's all about relationships to our own health and passions and our relationship to money as well.
Yes,
how do we
Margaret.
create this healthy balance?
Yes, it's interesting, isn't it? When we think about health, we need an adjective, don't we? We think it's either bad health or good health. But in fact, I see health rather differently. I see health as a condition of life. And it's, it grows with us, it's organic, it's neither good nor bad, perhaps. That's a judgment. I think we judge health very severely, mostly. And I think if we cease to see health from here through these filters, the intellectual filters, it's something very different. If the body is really happy and settled and functioning, as you say, Steve, you've not let it go, you've not, drunk yourself crazy or had drugs and gone potty. If you don't do any of that, then the body is health. To me, the body is health, and I don't judge it in that way.
But that doesn't come naturally for a lot of people. I mean, 10 years ago, I was 15 kg heavier than I am now.
Oh,
I was
really?
in a great place. I was enjoying life. I had a great job, but I was enjoying a lot of things as well, not exercising as much, and I didn't understand how to eat properly and be able to live healthily with, again, balance. So I think there's a number of different facets to this balance, and it's not.
Have you got pictures? Have you got any pictures? Have you got any pictures?
I do. Ooh. I have a photograph of myself in Dubai at a golf course at 92 kg. It wasn't pretty. Yeah.
Can't imagine it. But yes, we do enjoy ourselves a little too much, don't we? if we have enough money. Margaret, go ahead.
I have lots of things going through my mind. I think that for many of us, we have the idea that health is somehow not in our control, that it's controlled by outside factors. And there's an enormous amount that we can do. As you know, most of my professions have been involved in terms of, I started out as a dietitian. And so that for me is fundamental, is what you take in is what is going to convert into what you can put out. And being mindful of the choices that we make where it comes to food, that we don't just satisfy an appetite. We're satisfying the needs of this instrument that is the body. And I feel very, very strongly about that. Is how much control do we have? And please, can we exercise that control in the choices that we make? And as you were saying, Steve, you obviously reached a point when you realized you needed to change something, that it wasn't going to just happen automatically.
Yeah, very interesting. Yes, I think, again, that's an indication that we've lost connection with the body. And in a way, the energy of money, because there's a lot of it, distracts us from the health that we are, the way we see our health. And we go off down a different road and end up with a coronary thrombosis or something, and so on. So, I think control is so important. And outsourcing, I mean, that's my other big hobby horse. I think that people outsource their health too much. And I think
Yeah,
that what
that was what I
happens,
was. That was
You
what
were-
I was meaning in terms of. And may I just say, you use the word control. For me, I prefer the word management, because control means you're having to work very hard. Whereas if we're managing it, it is part of managing all the resources that we have in life.
Yeah, I agree. Much better word than control. Yeah. So yes, can we come back to the body? Can we really be balanced in body, spirit, and mind? And can we stop outsourcing our health entirely to what I call qualified experts in white coats who are strangers? I mean, they're strangers, and we give our bodies over to health experts. Now, I've spent my life working with alternative health practices, Alexander technique, homeopathy, all of these natural ways of healing as well. And I know that there's so much we can do before we panic and outsource, in terms of nutrition, Margaret, in terms of, exercise, as Steve mentioned. There's so much we can do ourselves, but we panic and we're scared. We are very scared of pain and, emergencies and all of that kind of thing. In Japan the other day, this is a little story as a distraction, somebody rang for the ambulance. I think I've maybe told you this before. Ebby, I think I've told you. Somebody rang for the ambulance. This was on the news. Somebody rang for an ambulance, and when the ambulance men ran in to put her on the thingy stretcher and take her off, they said, "What's wrong?" And she held up her finger and she said, "I've cut my finger." And here in Japan, that happens a lot because people are really scared of pain and health. And of course, the health service here is excellent. And so, everybody can call an ambulance whenever they need it. But what an incredible waste of resources and, the tension of the ambulance people getting there with the sirens going and everybody in the environment panicking, So, there have been some pretty stern warnings about not calling out emergency services for cut fingers and verrucas.
I think that's a very good example of not aligned, although it's quite simple, not being aligned to purpose, which, as we're talking about, purpose and profit. So when I feel that when you're not, if you know what your purpose is, then in terms of your health and not outsourcing things like to white coats and other people, because your responsibility is you first, and you know you more than anybody else, because we are so unique. The experts, or experts in quotes, might have a general overview, which is great and it's a starting point, but they don't know me exactly. I know where the feeling is coming from, and even when it's your child, because you have the gut instincts and you've been observing over a 24-hour period, over a longer period, so you kind of know. So where there might be general applications that might apply, but you're still unique. And I think when we understand what our purpose is, I just don't know how to explain it, but the body kind of works in tandem with everything and everything around. So when you know what your purpose is, because it's all energy, money is energy, everything is just energy, things just start to come. So you meet people that can give you answers. So if you're really aligned with who you are, you're open to hear those things and you're open to see those things. Whereas when you're closed, you don't see it. And there's this funny story where somebody died and went to heaven and said, "Oh, I prayed to you and you never answered me." And he said, "Well, I sent 3 people to you and you didn't get it." So it's kind of like, yeah, so people are expecting this big bang to come there, but sometimes it could be even a beggar on the street. If you're really aligned with who you are and you're really open, you'll get the message. They might not say it to you in the exact words, but something will just click and you just kind of think, yeah, that's my answer. Or you might be reading a book, even a novel, and in the novel you might see it. So the thing is about having that open mind, finding out what your purpose is, being aligned to who you are, being able to listen to the body. And the answers come. And I've tested this out many times. I'm not quite there, because if I was quite there, I probably wouldn't be here anymore. So I'm still learning. Yeah, so I think it's so important. And then we can get in terms of our profit, because I used to be into, oh, I need to make a profit. This is the break even, and so I need to make this. I need to have 20 customers to be able to you know, all the stuff they tell, which is great. That's not useless. It is great, but that's too here, you know. And even though it's a tool that we can use, probably like, you know, getting more relaxed and just letting things flow, like you say, Linden. And I guess when we're going through that, as you pointed out to me, I know there's a shift and the little shifts, but it's difficult to explain that to somebody else.
Yeah. Ebby and I were talking about that, because, you know, when things, spiritual things and, you know, bodily things shift a little bit, you can't always explain what's happening. With biochemistry, with body chemistry as well, Margaret. These little shifts, and you have this sudden feeling, and people try to explain that to each other. But I believe that those feelings are way beyond words. I just don't think vocabulary can catch those shifts. So a lot of the work I do with Lodestone involves these very small shifts, which at the end of a session, someone will say, I feel so different, but I can't explain why. And I say, good, that's a really good sign that you can't put it into words, because I think if it's really real, then the words won't ever be able to express what's happening. So yeah, Ebby and I talk quite a lot about this, and I think we explain too much, or we try to explain too much. There are things that occur inside us that I don't think we'll ever be able to share properly with language. And as a lifelong language expert, I can really say that's true. Of course, poets, and Steve's a poet, and I'm a poet, actually. We are poets from the north. Then I think poetry comes close sometimes, very occasionally. There is something unbelievably well expressed that I never thought would be possible. And that's what always surprises me so much about a good poem. Yeah. Anyway, I deviate. But the thing is that if we know our purpose, and this is another thing, because I thought my purpose was to educate. And I've spent many decades educating people. But
sorry, Linda, but that could be at that time. So don't discount it. Because think about how many lives have changed by doing that. So sorry.
Well, yes, maybe. Thousands and thousands of students, big university courses, you know, thousands of students. But basically now I'm in my own business. I realize that there are many more important things than education. I think education is very important, but the way it's traditionally doled out is not the best way to educate, I feel. And this is another huge topic, I know. But I think that purpose then, my sense of purpose has come very, very clear since I retired from my career educator life. And I now see my purpose very clearly, and I can now start to align it. Anybody, shoot me down.
I mean, you'll love this, Linden. I think that whether it's being called an educationalist or whatever words we're using, we're just making those up. And in actual fact, you are still being an educationalist, just in a different guise.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
so oftentimes we think we're one thing, or ideas will come to our mind, but that can be the liberator. But also it could be an imprisonment, because if we just get trapped by them.
Yeah.
So, if we get the shifts that you were talking about, or we get a sense of something, one of the ways that you can use the different levels of mind that we've talked about in different ways, Linden, is in that brilliant, not brilliant limited mind, but the limitless mind, the universal mind, as I would call it. Then if we have a sense of something, whether it's physical or just inside us, then we can use that higher wisdom to just ask a question. What is this about? What's this trying to tell me? What am I not seeing? And invite that greater clarity to occur to us, which is not coming from our limited knowing mind, which is limited just to what we've been taught and experienced. So it's this integration of mind, body, spirit, if you want to call it that, all the balance. Looks like Margaret's trying to get in.
Yes, I'd like to say something.
Go.
What was coming to mind as Steve was talking was that to know something is to fix it. And yet, life is never fixed in a solid way. So knowing is also constantly unfolding. That we can know a thing today and depend on it, and suddenly something new has come to mind, or something else has, flowed through us in terms of an awareness or an awakening or something, shift the way we know something. And I think so sadly our education system awards us, or rewards us for knowing the answer. And so that fixing a thing and not allowing it to actually flow and evolve and change and shift as we are doing all the time.
Yeah, absolutely. Yes, and I think this kind of conveyor belt education, as I call it, that I've been involved in all my life, really, now I really feel so differently about the future, about the internet, about how we can work to know things in a fluid way. And I think there's nothing like the internet for this fluidity. Everything's changing. I mean, look at today. I thought I was playing a video and I wasn't. So, this kind of incredible, the unexpected is so exciting, I think, on the internet. I love it. And I think it really indicates to me how we're going to have to change. We're going to have to change the system of education that has ruled us since Queen Victoria. I mean, it's all down to her, really, and her bureaucrats and her serried rows of people in suits, If we can move into an internet mood for knowing and learning, which I have done for the last, before I retired, 5 years, I was teaching online all the time because of COVID. And it was so liberating. I really loved it. And I really saw incredible potential for the future, for our very bright future. And I do believe we have such a bright future with the internet. This is a really important topic, but are we getting off the point? A little bit, maybe. Purpose now. Do you know your purpose then? This is a big word, isn't it? Purpose. Is it something that you grow into? Is it something that you are working to in your mind. What is purpose for you, Margaret? What is your purpose?
You know, that's quite a deep reflection. I often asked, as in my formative years, what was the purpose of me being one girl in a family of 8? Was it to learn that men are superior? No, I don't think so. And, you know, I look at the word purpose, and I think that it also is altering, shifting. I've lived long enough to know that, you know, things keep redirecting. And the ability to select what is the right course to take at any one given time is quite an art, actually. And consulting with those inner voices that says, do I take the left fork or the right fork, or do I stay where I am? And I believe that is part of one's purpose, is that we listen in a way to what the universe is asking of us. And that is not a fixed thing, I don't believe, throughout life.
Yeah, I totally agree. Steve, go ahead.
Yeah, I agree with Margaret there. I think our purpose can evolve as we evolve and the times evolve.
Yeah.
I'd say that my purpose over the last 25 years has been living and exploring and sharing the 3 principles. But the way of it emerging into the world has developed as I've developed.
Yes.
So it's not a fixed point. And for other people, the purpose could shift because you've had some big life shift or something happened, and that evolves again. And I think that's healthy, that we stay aligned with who we are and as we are evolving and experiencing through life.
Yeah.
And that keeps life vibrant as well.
Yes. I totally agree. Eddie, what about you?
I love this question, and I totally agree with Steve and Margaret. So for me, I think my purpose has been one of service. And if I look back on my life, I can see that it has been one of service. But I think where I went wrong was I forgot to serve me first. I went against myself. Yeah. So I remember when I was in school, I had a teacher, because of her strong accent, and I think I told you about that, we couldn't understand. So maths, which was my best subject, and I just ended up teaching my classmates. So I neglected myself. So my classmates did better than me in the final exam, even though I was the one teaching them. And it's been like that. So and like Margaret and Steve said, it's evolving. So when I was in my childbearing age, that was my purpose. My purpose was to be more focused on my family and my children, to be able to, I mean, I felt good doing it. You know, I missed opportunities for jobs I could have because I had to compromise, you know, so that my children would not be in a state of, for instance, being dependent on the government. So I had to make sure, like, the education, instill, and my work ethic, you know. If it was difficult for me to work at the same time I was running a home and bringing up children, I had to make sure I stayed in work because that was an example to them. So service, and now that I'm retired, to still service. So I think, and I had and I don't know how many people believe in this, but I had my chart done and was saying your purpose here is service to others, which kind of aligns with him because I feel really comfortable with that. But I think my missing point was not serving myself first, because in order to, which is why I ended up in burnout, because I was serving so much that I got to a stage that I just could not move. Physically could not move. My health suffered, my mental health suffered. Physically, I'm quite resilient, I think. And I think that because of the society I grew up in, I had to be resilient. And so I had to push myself and say, okay, just be a zombie and just go until I was able to get out of that situation, rather
Well,
than
with seven children to look after.
Because
I mean,
I could have sunk with the burnout. So, you know, like when you get burnout, you like really, really physically, you can sleep 24 hours and still you're still. So it was like I could, you know, and each step I was taking at that time, I had to go robotically because I was not able to move really. And so service is my purpose. But you always have to remember, it all begins with you.
Yeah. Margaret's got something she's bursting to say.
I was going to say, when we use the word service, I think we think of it as flowing from us out into the world. However, it needs to be back and forth. We need to serve ourselves in order to serve the world.
Exactly.
Yeah, absolutely.
We cannot pour from an empty vessel, as you know, Edie. You know, and it's sad that one sometimes has to experience burnout in order to get it and recognize that being in service is not a sacrifice.
No.
That's right. I think self-sacrifice or sacrifice in general is a fascinating topic. In fact, Abby and I and another colleague talked about this a couple of weeks live last year. Sacrifice is a really huge topic, but we fall into the trap of the kind of really the rather religious message that says, yes, put other people before yourself. Well, that doesn't work. It really doesn't work. And so if you put yourself first, then of course you're accused of being selfish and self-centered, but it's necessary for survival. We have to look after ourselves first. And I too have, sacrificed myself a lot during my teaching years, done far too much for students and so on because of my nature. Never burnt out, but definitely got very exhausted often. So I think it's really, the whole culture needs throwing up in the air that we should not put others before ourselves. You can quote me if you like. We should not. First, we should look after ourselves. Then the compassion becomes really authentic. So self-compassion first, and then it's really natural to be compassionate about other people, and we would have far nicer world around us, I think, if we had more self-compassion before we're selling ourselves short. So, I'm watching this wonderful series at the moment about Los Angeles police force, and it's really fantastic because these people are trying to solve these terrible crimes. Terrible things happen in Los Angeles, and then they're not going home. Their marriages are breaking up. They're just totally sacrificing themselves to keeping the streets clean, which is something that is going to always end in tears, So that's just a little thing to bring in at the end. But we've run out of time. Steve, you've got 1 minute.
The image that often comes to me is about taking care of ourselves and really understanding ourselves and have a firm grounding in life and who ourselves. And what do they say on airplanes when they talk about if an emergency happens and the air masks come down? They say put your own mask on first, and then on the child and the people, because we don't take care of ourselves. We're not able or have the resources or experience to be able to share with other people and help other people as well.
In that kind of extreme situation, yeah, absolutely. That's a great note to end on. So any final messages for our LinkedIn members and YouTubers? We've got no more comments, I think, to relate to you. But what about a parting message, Ebby, for aligning purpose and profit?
I like the last two. I like the compassion and what Steve said about the mask. So if you have compassion for self, automatically that will happen. You won't need to be told, it will come. You will have compassion for others and you will be able to serve others. But if you don't start with self, it's going to be a tick box exercise. You're going to do it with all your mind, but you'll crash at the end because you always have to look after yourself. You cannot serve, like Margaret said, from an empty or half empty cup. It has to be full and has to be overflowing.
Yeah. Great, lovely. Margaret, a parting message.
I was thinking about Jung's concept of the both and. We need to be both compassionate and of self, and so that we can give to others,
Exactly.
Otherwise we are losing and fading away.
Yeah.
I have no intention of fading away. I always say I'll go out like the man, bye. Sorry, not being goodbye.
Absolutely. Yeah, you will never fade away. You will always exist. Definitely. We all will. We all will. I know it. Thank you so much. It's been great fun, and I hope you've got some ideas, and we can continue the conversation under the window. I'll tag you, and we can continue to talk about this. It's a fascinating subject, I think. Well, thank you so much for coming. It's been wonderful. And I'll be in touch with you to give you links and all sorts of things tomorrow. Thank you. Okay, so bye-bye for now. Bye. Thank you. Wonderful. Great conversation. Wonderful people. I'm so blessed to know such great people. And we always talk about such important topics, so meaningful, I think. Thank you to all of you. And thank you to our listeners for attending. Please leave us a comment or a question, and we'll put our details if you want to talk to any of us separately. I'll put the profile details under the window, and you can make an appointment to speak to whoever you're interested in. And we'll be here again next week. This will be event 5. And the title is Inner Trust Equals Outer Wealth. So this will be about trust and a little bit moving through what we've said today. We'll be moving on to the question of trust, which is another fascinating topic. So please join us again next week for Your Body is Your Business Plan. And I'm Linden Thorp, and have a wonderful day, evening, morning, wherever you are in the world. I'm just going to go to bed in a minute. It's quite late in Japan, but I really loved our talk tonight. Thanks so much. See you next week. Bye for now.